You are about to listen to the words of Fethullah Gulen, a distinguished Islamic scholar and thinker. In this podcast, you will hear his essay, Making Unusual Things in Salah.
If a person involuntarily makes sounds like sighing or wailing during Salah, there is no harm in it. If these expressions genuinely arise from a state of jazba, religious ecstasy, then they are beyond criticism. In this state, the person is so absorbed that they are not conscious of their actions, hence the sounds they make are unintentional. Then when others say, "You acted in such and such a way," the person will be surprised and say, "I do not even remember such a thing at all." Other than that, the person should not make any sounds that are not a part of the Salah. The same goes for crying. A person should stifle crying with religious feelings as much as possible. But if the person cannot restrain that despite everything but is crying involuntarily, then there may not be any harm in it. Those who witnessed and spoke about how Bediuzzaman Said Nursi was while beginning and during Salah would express that his eyes looked somewhat strange and his voice sounded unusual. This is a matter of concentration level and devotion. It is entirely inappropriate for anyone who has not reached such a level to merely imitate these behaviors and present them artificially. There is the risk of shirk and riyah during worship observed with other people. If a man who carries out Salah carelessly while alone observes it in an elaborate fashion near others, this is, may God forbid, secret shirk. On the other hand, a person who observes Salah at length while alone observes it briefly near others, there is also a risk of riyah for it, because this behavior too involves taking others' presence into consideration, attaching a significance to it, and acting accordingly. They should do so similarly when near others. It should be neither lengthy nor brief, without any distinction. Consider a shepherd who observes Salah near his flock. Does he ever concern himself with whether the sheep see him praying? Transcending physicality and the constraints of the body, ascending to the spiritual realm of the heart and spirit is achievable for everyone according to their spiritual level or status. A person's fulfilling his or her duties of worship and, on top of that, striving for the exaltation of God's good name everywhere in order to glorify His word, serve as a purifying agent akin to bleach on physical impurities. Through this process, one can ascend to higher levels of spiritual life and progress, ultimately earning God's approval and good pleasure. Servitude must definitely be fulfilled conscientiously. Just as people show great care in serving their guests with the best food, utensils, etc., so must we show ultimate care and scrupulousness in our worship and devotions. This is a vital way to transcend animality and overcome the carnal soul, thereby accessing the spiritual realm of the heart and spirit. If one does not or cannot perform every act of worship from Salah to fasting with the same care as they would in doing the sweetest things, they have not truly freed themselves from animality or subdued the carnal soul. One may perform worship by doing its necessary rituals and can be saved from responsibility. However, when not done mindfully, the life of heart and spirit will not thrive with such worship. To attain higher spiritual levels in the domain of heart and spirit, believers must adhere to certain principles. Firstly, they should consume only lawful sustenance. Secondly, they should avert their gaze from prohibited sights. Thirdly, they should heed the guidance of the Hadith, which states, "Anyone who safeguards for my sake what is between his jaws and what is between his legs, I will safeguard paradise for him." Consequently, one should refrain from engaging in unnecessary conversation and harboring feelings that lead to sinful behaviors. In short, one must show ultimate care for worship and maintain an iron will and magnanimous mood, in a sense to see even death more likable than committing sins, since sins paralyze a person's spiritual life. Together with that, hearts must be made responsive. If they are not, they should be empowered to be so. Note that as a result of this insistence and endeavor, even the most callous hearts can become responsive in time. Depending on the person's condition, such attainment may take weeks, months, or even years. However, for the sake of gaining God's good pleasure, whatever sacrifice made in this respect is worth it.
You have just listened to the words of Fethullah Gulen, brought to life through an AI-generated voice. Known for his teachings on faith, interfaith dialogue, peace, and education, Mr. Gulen also inspired the Hizmet movement, a global initiative that promotes democracy, human rights, equality, and nonviolence. To learn more about Fethullah Gulen and the Hizmet movement, visit fethullahgulen.org.